It lives in your lower legs. It has been working quietly on your behalf since the day you were born. And after 60, for reasons that are entirely understandable and entirely addressable, it begins to lose its strength. When it weakens, blood stops moving the way it should. It pools, it settles. It sits in the ankles and the calves and the feet, creating exactly the kind of pressure, fatigue, and swelling that millions of older adults dismiss as just getting old.
Most people think poor leg circulation and swelling are just a part of aging. But here is the exciting truth. You can boost blood flow and reduce swelling in just minutes a day. In this video, I'll show you the 3-3-10 leg circulation method, a simple exercise routine designed to keep your legs feeling light, strong, and healthy, especially if you're over 60. Now, before we get into...
Here is what changes everything. You wake up. The room is quiet. The morning is still. And before you even swing your legs over the side of the bed, something feels off. Not painful, not dramatic, just heavy. Like your legs spent the whole night carrying something they were never meant to hold. You tell yourself it is nothing. You stand up slowly, shuffle to the kitchen, pour your coffee. By mid-morning, you notice the tightness creeping back into your calves. By early afternoon, your ankles look slightly fuller than they did yesterday. By evening, you are sitting in your favorite chair with your feet elevated, waiting for a relief that takes longer and longer to arrive each day. Sound familiar? Most people in this situation do the same thing. They adjust, they accept. They quietly begin rearranging their lives around legs that no longer feel like their own. Fewer walks, less standing, more sitting. And with every small surrender, the problem deepens, silently, steadily, without a single warning loud enough to make them stop and ask
Michigan. In this video, we're going to go over really easy exercises that will quickly improve blood flow and circulation in the legs. I'm going to show the video in different parts that are going to focus on different positions. That way you can do these in bed, in a chair, even standing. Go through them all, use what gives you the best results. As a bonus, all of the exercises can be done at home, require no special equipment, and you may find give quick results, even within 30 seconds. So with that being said, let's get started.
Here is what nobody tells you. That heavy, swollen, exhausted feeling in your legs after 60 is not simply the price of getting older. It is a signal, a specific signal, coming from a specific system inside your body that has begun to lose its rhythm. And when that system slows down, everything downstream suffers. I have spent years studying what happens to the body as it ages. And one of the most consistent findings, one that surprises patients every single time it is explained to them clearly, is this: the real engine behind leg circulation is not your heart alone. It never was. There is a second pump. This pump can be reactivated, not with medication, not with complicated equipment, not with intense workouts that push the body beyond what feels safe or comfortable. It can be reactivated with 3 specific movements that target exactly the right muscles, in exactly the right sequence, to restore the circulation rhythm your legs have been missing. Hi viewers, before I walk you through each of these exercises, I want to ask you one quick question. When you feel that heavy or swollen feeling in your legs, does it happen more in the morning when you first wake up, or later in the afternoon after you have been sitting for a while? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Morning or afternoon? I read every single one. That one answer will tell us a great deal about what your legs are trying to communicate. Now, back to that second pump. In medical training, there is a principle that has been discussed for decades. Your calf muscles, when they contract, act almost like a compression sleeve around the veins in your lower legs. Every time they tighten, they squeeze blood upward, back toward the heart, against the pull of gravity. It is an elegant system, quiet, automatic, and almost entirely overlooked until it begins to fail. After 60, several things happen at once. Muscle mass naturally begins to decline. Daily movement often decreases. Long hours of sitting become more common. And together, these changes reduce the frequency and force with which those calf muscles fire. The pump slows, the blood pools, and the legs begin to feel exactly the way yours may be feeling right now. Here's the part that stops most people cold when they hear it for the first time. Walking helps. Walking is genuinely good for your overall health, and I would never suggest otherwise. But walking alone does not always deliver the targeted rhythmic activation that these specific muscles need. A surgeon can walk you through why in clinical detail. The short version is this: The calf pump requires a very particular type of contraction to function at full capacity. And most everyday movement, even regular walking, does not consistently trigger it the way these 3 exercises will. That is the gap. That is the
The second heart is a system of muscles, veins and valves in the back of our lower leg that work together to push the blood up through the veins and back up towards the heart and lungs. Veins have valves to make sure the blood can only travel back towards the heart, and the muscles squeeze the veins to push the blood back up.
That is the gap. That is the space between what most seniors are doing and what their legs actually need. And that gap, left unaddressed, does not stay the same size. It widens. The discomfort grows. The swelling becomes more persistent. The fatigue sets in earlier each day, until eventually, what started as a minor inconvenience quietly begins to reshape how you move through your own life. But not today. Today you are going to learn the 3 movements that change this. Movements that target the exact muscles responsible for keeping blood flowing through your legs. Movements that can be done from a chair, from beside a counter, from anywhere you feel comfortable. No equipment, no strain, no complicated routine to memorize. Just 3 exercises, done consistently, with one purpose: to give your legs their rhythm back. Stay with me, because what comes next is the piece most people have never been shown. And once you understand how these movements work inside your body, you will never look at leg discomfort the same way again. Let me tell you something that took researchers decades to fully understand. The human body is not dramatic about the ways it begins to fail. It does not sound an alarm. It does not send a clear message in plain language. It whispers, it adjusts, it compensates quietly, rerouting and redistributing, until one day the compensation runs out, and the symptom you have been ignoring becomes the problem you can no longer avoid. That is exactly what happens with leg circulation after 60. It does not collapse suddenly, it retreats slowly. And the retreat is so gradual, so easy to explain away with reasonable excuses, that most people do not recognize it for what it is, until the discomfort has already become a daily part of their lives. Here is what is actually happening inside your legs. Every time your heart beats, it pushes blood outward through your arteries, down through your body, all the way to your feet. That part most people understand. What most people do not realize is that getting that blood back up to the heart is a completely separate challenge, one that your heart alone cannot solve. Think about it this way. Imagine a water pump at the top of a building trying to pull water up from the basement floor. The pump is working, the pipes are clear, but something at the bottom is not pushing back. The flow slows, the water begins to sit. Pressure builds in all the wrong places. That is your lower body, when the calf muscles stop doing their job. Your calves are not just muscles for walking. They are compression chambers. Every time they contract, they squeeze the veins running through them, pushing blood upward with enough force to overcome gravity. Surgeons and vascular specialists have referred to this system for decades as the venous muscle pump. And it is not a secondary system. It is not a backup feature. It is essential. Without it functioning properly, the entire return journey of your blood becomes sluggish, inefficient, and insufficient. After 63 things happen almost simultaneously. Muscle mass begins to decrease. This is a natural part of aging, and it affects the calves the same way it affects every other muscle group in the body. Daily movement tends to become less varied. Long periods of sitting replace the kind of mixed activity that used to keep the legs engaged throughout the day, and the nerve signals that tell the calves to contract begin to fire less frequently, less forcefully, and less consistently. The pump slows down, and the body, doing exactly what it was designed to do, tries to compensate. It retains more fluid in the lower extremities to maintain pressure. The result is swelling. It reduces the efficiency of the return flow, which means oxygen-depleted blood sits longer in the legs. The result is aching and fatigue. It signals the surrounding tissue to work harder, which creates a low-grade tension that never quite resolves. The result is that heavy, tight, relentless feeling that shows up by afternoon and refuses to leave. Now here's the part that most people get completely wrong. The natural instinct when your legs feel heavy and swollen is to rest them. Sit down, put your feet up, wait for the discomfort to pass. And while elevation does provide temporary relief, it does not address the underlying problem. It does not reactivate the pump. It does not restore the rhythm. It simply gives the fluid somewhere else to go for a few hours before it settles back down.
So you can get your second heart pumping right now while you're watching this video. Simply bring your toes up towards your knees and point them down towards the floor. By repeating this action, you'll be getting your second heart pumping and helping the blood flow in your lower legs. It can help to get gravity working for you too, so pop your feet up and repeat the exercise with your feet raised.
The second most common response is to walk more, and walking is genuinely valuable. Please do not misunderstand. Regular walking supports cardiovascular health, maintains joint mobility, and contributes to overall well-being in ways that are well documented and undeniable. But walking, as a movement pattern, does not isolate and intensively activate the calf pump the way it needs to be targeted after 60. The stride of a casual walk does not generate the same compression and release cycle that dedicated calf exercises produce. The signal is too diffuse, too spread across too many muscle groups to deliver the concentrated activation these specific muscles require. This is the gap. This is the space where the problem lives, between what feels like enough movement and what the legs actually need to maintain healthy circulation. And the 3 exercises coming up are designed to close that gap precisely, safely, and consistently. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology followed older adults with mild circulation challenges and found that targeted calf muscle activation significantly improved venous blood return over just a few weeks. These participants were not running. They were not pushing their bodies into discomfort. They were performing controlled, deliberate movements that sent a clear and direct signal to the muscles responsible for pushing blood back toward the heart. That signal is everything. It is the difference between legs that feel exhausted by noon and legs that carry you through the day with stability and confidence. It is the difference between watching your world shrink because standing feels unreliable and standing tall because your body has been reminded of how to support itself. And right now, that reminder starts with the first exercise. But before we get there, I want you to hold on to something because what you are about to learn is not complicated. In fact, the moment you see it, your first instinct may be to think it is too simple to matter. That instinct has kept millions of people from the exact relief they were searching for. Do not let it stop you. The first exercise looks almost too easy. That is the first thing people say when they see it. They look at it, they look back at the person showing them, and there is a long pause that says everything. Surely this cannot be what makes the difference. Surely something this gentle, this quiet, this completely unintimidating cannot be the movement that changes how their legs feel every single day. But that pause is followed by something else. 2 weeks of doing it consistently. And then they come back with a different look entirely. This is the seated calf pump. And it is where everything begins. You do not need to stand for this. You do not need to balance, brace, or push through any discomfort. You sit in a sturdy chair with both feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Your hands rest comfortably on your thighs or the sides of the chair. Your back is upright but relaxed. And from that position, you simply lift your heels. Not both at once if that feels like too much. One at a time if that is more comfortable. The toes stay down, the ball of the foot stays in contact with the floor, and the heel rises slowly, as high as feels natural, before lowering back down with the same controlled pace. That is the movement. Slow up. Brief pause at the top. Slow down. Breathe normally throughout. Here is what is happening inside your body. While that looks so simple on the outside, when your heel lifts, the gastrocnemius and soleus muscles, the 2 primary muscles of the calf, contract. That contraction squeezes the veins running through the lower leg. The blood inside those veins gets pushed upward. The tiny valves inside the veins open to let it pass, and then close to prevent it from falling back down. And when the heel lowers again, the muscles relax, the veins refill with blood from below, and the cycle is ready to begin again. That is the pump. That is the exact mechanism that has been slowing down. And this movement, this simple, seated, equipment-free movement, is the most direct way to reactivate it. The mistake most people make is rushing. They lift the heels quickly, lower them quickly, and count repetitions like they are trying to finish a task. But speed removes the benefit. The compression and release cycle needs time to work. A fast repetition barely engages the muscle before it releases. A slow, controlled repetition allows the full contraction to develop. Hold for a moment, and then release gradually, which is exactly what the venous pump requires to function. Go slow. every single time. Another mistake is holding the breath. It feels natural to hold it when concentrating, but breath holding during this kind of exercise can actually reduce circulation rather than
time that you
support
need it. So let's move on to some really easy exercises that you can do seated. I find that scooting more towards the edge of a chair works the best for this one. To get into position, have very good upright posture. Have your back as straight as possible. You want your legs roughly hip width apart, knees bent at 90 degrees, and start off with your feet flat. We're going to begin with a movement called a heel-toe raise, very straightforward. I'm going to take the balls of my feet and also my toes and press them into the floor and then raise up on my heels like this. So I'm driving my heels upward towards the ceiling as much as I can.
Breathe in as the heels rise. Breathe out as they lower. Keep it natural. Keep it steady. If you feel any cramping in the calf, reduce the height of the lift. A smaller range of motion performed consistently is far more valuable than a full range performed occasionally. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to send a clear, repeated signal to muscles that have been waiting for exactly this kind of direction. Start with 10 repetitions. Rest for a moment, then another 10. Do this 2 or 3 times a day. Morning, when you sit down for your first cup of something warm. Afternoon, when you have been sitting for a while. Evening, while you watch something you enjoy. No equipment, no preparation, no interruption to your day. Within the first week, many people report that the tight, pressurized feeling in their lower legs begins to ease. Not completely, not overnight, but noticeably. The kind of change that makes you think, wait, something is actually different today. Within 2 to 3 weeks, the legs often feel measurably lighter by midday. The afternoon swelling becomes less pronounced. The fatigue that used to settle in by early evening begins arriving later, or not arriving at all. This is not a coincidence. This is the pump working again. But the calf pump, powerful as it is only the first piece, because healthy leg circulation after 60 depends on more than one muscle group firing in isolation. It depends on a coordinated system, multiple muscles working together in sequence, creating a chain of pressure and release that moves blood efficiently through the entire lower body. And the second exercise is where that coordination begins to come back. It starts from a standing position, and for some people, that single word standing is enough to create a moment of hesitation. If that is you, stay with me, because this movement was specifically designed with that hesitation in mind. It begins with your hands on a chair or a counter. It begins with support. It begins exactly where you are. The second exercise is about more than circulation. It is about something deeper, something that does not show up in a blood flow measurement or a vein diameter reading. It is about the quiet confidence of knowing your legs will hold you, the kind of trust in your own body that most people do not even realize they have lost until they try to stand up quickly and feel that moment of uncertainty flicker through them like a warning. That uncertainty is not weakness, it is information, and this exercise is how you answer it. This is the supported heel to stand.
The wall squat. With this one, it's going to focus a little bit more on strengthening the glutes and also helping with our lower back. So for this, you need a flat surface like a wall, but you can also use something like a door frame. You're going to put your whole backside flush against it, put your feet out slightly in front of you, just like this. Legs roughly hip width apart. You're going to put all of your body weight onto your heels during this exercise and slightly point your toes out about 5 to 10 degrees.
And it is the movement that many clinicians consider the most complete single exercise for leg circulation in older adults, because it does not target one muscle or one mechanism. It targets the entire chain. Here is how it works. You stand behind a sturdy chair or beside a kitchen counter. Your hands rest lightly on the surface in front of you, not gripping, not bearing full weight, just there for reassurance and steadiness. Your feet are hip width apart. Your posture is relaxed but upright. And from this position, you begin with the same movement you already know. You lift your heels slowly, feel the calves engage, feel that familiar compression beginning in the lower legs. Hold for just a moment at the top, then lower the heels back down with control. Now, here is where this exercise goes further than the first one. From the lowered position, you bend your knees just slightly, not deeply, not into a full squat, just a gentle partial bend, maybe a few inches, as if you were about to sit down, but decided to stay standing instead. Hold that position for a breath, then straighten back up. Heel lift, lower, gentle bend, straighten. That sequence, performed slowly and deliberately, activates the calves, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, and the glutes in a coordinated chain. And when that chain fires together, the venous return it generates is substantially stronger than any isolated movement can produce. The National Institutes of Health has published guidance noting that combined lower body muscle activation improves venous return and functional mobility in older adults more effectively than single muscle exercises. The reason is straightforward. More muscles contracting in sequence means more compression applied to the veins at multiple points along the leg simultaneously. The blood moves faster, it moves more completely, and it moves with less effort from any single muscle group. This is important after 60 because no single muscle is working at the same capacity it once was. But together, the chain is still powerful. It just needs to be reminded of how to work as a unit. Think of it like an orchestra. One instrument playing alone can carry a melody. But the full sound, the kind that fills the room and stays with you afterward, only comes when every section is playing together. This exercise is the conductor's signal for every muscle in your lower body to come back in at the same time. There is an emotional dimension to this exercise that I want to name directly. Every time you stand up from a chair, every time you rise from a seated position and take that first step forward, your body is performing a version of this movement automatically. The difference is whether those muscles are strong enough and coordinated enough to do it with ease, or whether they are struggling in ways that make the moment feel uncertain. When they struggle, people sit more. When they sit more, the muscles weaken further, the circulation slows more, the swelling increases, the fatigue deepens, and slowly, without any single dramatic moment of change, the world that person can comfortably move through becomes smaller. That is not an inevitable outcome. That is a cycle, and cycles can be interrupted. The supported heel-to-stand flow is one of the most direct interruptions available because it trains the exact movement pattern your body needs for independence, while simultaneously driving the venous circulation that keeps your legs feeling functional and alive. The most common mistake with this exercise is rushing the knee bend. People who are eager to feel the benefit tend to deepen the bend quickly, pushing into a range that creates strain rather than support. Reduce the depth. A small controlled bend performed consistently is worth 10 times more than a deep bend that causes discomfort and discourages repetition. The goal is smooth, unhurried, confident movement that your body can repeat every single day without complaint. Start with 8 to 10 repetitions. Rest. Repeat once more. That is enough. That is the signal. Over time, the number can grow, but the pace should always stay slow and deliberate. This is not a test of how much you can do. It is a practice of doing the right thing, the right way, as consistently as possible. And consistency more than any other factor is what changes how legs feel over time. But there is one more exercise, and this one surprises people the most. Not because it is hard, because it is so simple that it seems impossible for it to matter as much as it does. And yet, for the people who add it to their routine, especially on the difficult days when standing is not comfortable and movement feels like too much to ask, this third exercise becomes the one they return to again and again. There are days when the body asks for less, not out of weakness, not out of failure, simply because the body is wise enough to know when it needs a gentler conversation instead of a demanding one. And on those days, this third exercise is the answer your legs have been waiting for. This is the seated ankle circle reset. No standing required, no balance challenge, no equipment of any kind. It can be done in bed before you swing your legs over the side in the morning. It can be done in the car while you wait. It can be done in any chair, anywhere, at any point in the day when you have been still for too long, and you can feel the familiar heaviness beginning to gather. Here is how it works. Sit comfortably with both feet lifted slightly off the floor, just a few inches, enough that the ankle is free to move without restriction. Then slowly begin rotating one foot in a wide, smooth circle, not a small, tight circle, a full, deliberate rotation that uses the entire range of the ankle joint. 5 rotations in one direction, then 5 in the other. Then switch to the other foot and repeat. That is one set. 2 or 3 sets spread throughout the day. And you have added something genuinely powerful to your circulation routine without adding a single minute of effort that feels like exercise. Here is why this matters more than it appears. The ankle is the lowest major joint in the body. It is the final drainage point before fluid has to make the entire upward journey back toward the heart. When the ankle stays still for extended periods, which happens during long hours of sitting, during car rides, during evenings in front of the television, fluid begins to accumulate directly above it. That accumulation creates the visible swelling around the ankles and lower legs that so many older adults recognize as their most persistent daily discomfort. Moving the ankle interrupts that accumulation before it builds. The muscles and connective tissue surrounding the joint create gentle pressure on the veins with every rotation. The fluid that was beginning to settle gets redirected. The return pathway stays open and active, and the lower legs avoid the kind of prolonged pooling that leads to the tight, pressurized feeling that takes hours to resolve once it sets in. The American Heart Association has noted that gentle foot and ankle movement during prolonged sitting helps reduce fluid accumulation in the lower extremities and supports healthy venous return. This is not a minor or supplementary finding. For older adults who spend significant portions of their day seated, it is one of the most practical and accessible circulation tools available. Make the circles wide and slow. This is the most important technical point. Small, fast circles barely engage the surrounding tissue. Wide, slow circles recruit the muscles of the lower calf, the tendons of the ankle, and the connective tissue of the foot in a way that genuinely supports circulation. If you feel any resistance or stiffness as you rotate, that stiffness is exactly what this exercise is designed to address. Move through it gently. Do not force it. Simply guide the joint through its natural range. And over time, the range will expand and the resistance will ease. Keep your shoulders relaxed while you do this. Keep your jaw relaxed. Keep your breathing easy. The rest of your body should feel entirely at rest while the ankles are working. This is a quiet exercise, a private one. Something you can do without anyone around you even noticing, and that accessibility is one of its greatest strengths. Now, I want to bring all three of these exercises together for a moment, because the real power is not in any single one of them. The real power is in what happens when all three become part of a consistent daily rhythm. The seated calf pump reactivates the primary venous pump in your lower legs. It sends a direct, targeted signal to the muscles that push blood upward and reminds them of the job they were always meant to be doing. The supported heel-to-stand flow takes that reactivated pump and connects it to the larger chain of lower body muscles, creating a coordinated compression system that supports circulation through the entire leg, while also rebuilding the strength and confidence that makes standing and moving feel natural again. And the seated ankle circle reset keeps the lowest drainage point in your body open and active throughout the day, preventing the kind of prolonged pooling that undoes in a few hours of sitting what your other exercises have spent the morning building. Together, these three movements work the way the body was always designed to work, not in isolated pieces, not one muscle at a time, but as a connected, coordinated system where every part supports the function of every other part. The improvement that comes from practicing these consistently is not dramatic on day one. It does not announce itself loudly. It arrives the way most meaningful changes do, quietly, gradually, in the small moments you almost miss. The afternoon when you realize your legs do not feel as tight as they usually do at this hour. The evening when you stand up from your chair without that brief, familiar uncertainty. The morning when the heaviness that used to greet you before your feet even touch the floor simply is not there. Those moments are not accidents. They are the result of a system that has been reminded of its purpose and given the consistent signal it needed to restore its rhythm. Aging does not mean accepting the slow disappearance of comfort and confidence in your own body. It means learning to give your body what it needs at each stage of life. After 60, your legs need targeted activation. They need rhythmic movement. They need the kind of deliberate, consistent attention that tells the muscles and the veins and the entire venous system that the work is not over, that the pump is still needed, that you are still moving forward. If you are watching this for yourself, start with just one of these exercises today. Not all three at once, just one. Let your body feel the signal. Give it a few days to begin responding, then add the second, then the third. Build the rhythm gradually, the way your body prefers to learn anything new. And if you are watching this for someone you love, a parent whose legs have been slowing them down, a spouse who has been sitting more and moving less without quite understanding why, a friend who has stopped talking about it because they have come to believe this is simply how aging feels, share this with them today. What feels like a small gesture on your part may be the exact piece of information they needed to begin feeling like themselves again. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 3 exercises you are going to try first: the calf pump, the heel to stand flow, or the ankle circles. And tell me your age and where you are watching from. I read every single comment, and your answer helps shape the content I create for you next. If this helped you today, please share it with one person in your life who needs to hear it. Not because it helps the channel, though it does, but because someone in your circle is sitting somewhere right now with heavy legs and the quiet belief that nothing can change. And you can be the reason they discover that belief is wrong. Like this video, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss what is coming next. Because in the next video, I am going to reveal something that almost no one talks about when it comes to leg health after 60. It is not another exercise. It is something most people do every single morning without thinking, a habit so ordinary that it has never once raised suspicion. And yet, for millions of older adults, it is quietly making every circulation problem significantly worse. You will want to know what it is before tomorrow morning. I will see you there.